Hey, my name is Jacob. I'm here to cover Lord Huron. So, Lord Huron is well known for their hit song "The Night We Met." It went viral a few years ago. The song covers heartbreak, pain, and regret. It's a very sad song, but it's not like Lord Huron's darkest song. Um, I think a fair contender for that title would have to be Vide Noir or Vide Noir. In fact, that's what I'm talking about today. I'm here to cover Vide Noir and discuss the lyrics, the imagery, and the song's motif. Um, the song is a gloomy cautionary tale covering the effects of heartbreak and codependency on a person. Um, it's a good song. It's one of my favorite songs. So let's get into it. So Vide Noir, the song when the song introduces itself, the audience is made very well aware that the storyteller is haunted by his past. Um, if I read you the beginning of the song, many nights have I heard her voice whisper my name without making a noise, calling out from a pure black void. Tears of sorrow or tears of joy drops in my cup as my mind is destroyed, staring into a pure black void. So we've already made two references to the pure black void. So the storyteller hears this woman's voice from the pure black void. And then after his mind is destroyed, I'm assuming he's drinking himself to sleep every night. He's staring into a pure black void. So what I got from that was the pure black void is probably a metaphor for the storyteller's mind or his headspace. So when he thinks of his ex, when he thinks of her voice, he's hearing that soundless whisper coming from the void, coming from his mind, because he's thinking about her still. And as he's reflecting on his thoughts, he is staring into the pure black void. He's not in a good headspace, right? So we're introduced to the storyteller. The storyteller went through heartbreak, and to be honest, it doesn't sound like the relationship ended on his terms. I mean, sounds like he's still not, sounds like he's not over it, I guess. So when I hear that first part of the song, like the picture that I get out of that is like I imagine the storyteller's in a dark room, probably late at night, sitting down. He's alone. The only things accompanying him are his drink and his thoughts. And I think it's a problem, right? Like that is a bad combination. Another thing I want to mention, when you actually listen to the song, um, it's a good idea to pay attention to some of the subtleties that are within the song because there are some hidden meanings behind that, I believe, right? Every single time the singer references the pure black void, you just hear this loud echo. The pure black void. It's a loud echo when the singer sings it, and it sounds ominous. It's creepy, and I think they're trying to inform the audience that this is something to be feared. The pure black void is dangerous, right? And that is just a really good job that they did that, and I like that. And I noticed that as well with the next line in the song. So the storyteller then prompts us with two questions. they have two questions for us. So what if I'm living out past the edge? So what if I never come back again? Those are the two questions we get. So what if I'm living out past the edge? So what if I never come back again? When the singer sings those two questions, if you listen to the background sound, you can it sounds like the background's getting loud. And I can't quite tell what's going on. It kind of sounds like there might be a choir that's being ramped up, but I'm not quite sure. It also kind of sounds like there's background vocals of Lord Huron singing in a different octave. Either way, it sets up this atmosphere that's a little uncanny, and it's unsettling. And the line of questionings that we're getting are unsettling, so it matches. The vibe that I get from this moment is that we're not just witnessing the storyteller's emotional capitulation. It's worse. Far worse, actually. The haunting lyrics leave the impression that the threat level is existential. So the storyteller acknowledges that his life is potentially derailing in front of our very eyes. So we are left with the potentially worrisome conclusion that the storyteller may be giving in to hopelessness, that any attempts to self-improve may be fruitless. It's clear that the storyteller knows the answers that will be reaped from his inquiries. Living life out past the edge is not sustainable. Never coming back from the edge is an ultimate betrayal to one's agency. So why is the storyteller dismissive of these consequences? Why are these questions being prompted in the first place? Well, if we were to look at life as a journey, it's very much possible that the concerns of a journeyman differ when they believe their expedition is nearly complete. So it's very much possible that giving into hopelessness will cause these kind of lines of questioning. The storyteller then proceeds to elaborate on how he's living life after heartbreak, stating, "Many evils have I enjoyed, prowling the night, raising hell with the boys, getting high on a pure black void." Chef's kiss. Chef's kiss. Beautiful lyrics. The storyteller is communicating with us that there are many tales to be told, spending nights with friends and going on benders. What tale is not being communicated here is the storyteller's effort to escape from the cold grip that is the pure black void. The endless benders only enable him to ignore the problem. It's clear the storyteller knows this, as he acknowledges that he is getting high on a pure black void. So, that's the third reference to the pure black void, if I'm counting correctly. What is the pure black void? Can you smoke your thoughts? Is he drinking? Is he being intoxicated by the pure black void? How does that work? That doesn't make sense, does it? Well, it kind of does. Kind of makes sense. So the way I interpret this is that the pure black void that we're talking about in this context, it's not a drink. He's not being inebriated by a cocktail. Well, actually, he probably is in this context, but it's not just a cocktail that he's being intoxicated by. He's also getting drunk on nostalgia. That's my honest take. What I believe is going on is that the storyteller is living in the past by going on these benders, by enjoying the many evils that obviously he enjoys, prowling the night, raising hell with the boys. The guy's probably just trying to feel young again. He's living in the past, right? He's ignoring his problems, his responsibilities. And I think, in a way, that kind of reflects the headspace that he's currently in. And he is getting high on the feeling of feeling young again. Like reliving those experiences when we were all like 18, when we would do things we probably shouldn't be doing, right? So he's kind of reliving those experiences. I feel like that really can be justified within these lyrics. So the pure black void, in this case, that he is getting high on is nostalgia. And he's escaping. It's escapism, is really what it is. So I feel like the pure black void metaphor fits still. I still feel like we can make the argument that it's really his headspace that he's in, his mind. And it seems like it's going to be a constant battle against the pure black void within this story. The storyteller, when indulging in the many evils that he enjoys, is effectively choosing to live in the past instead of the future without his ex. He is trying to feel young again, to live in the past, back during a time when probably life felt less aimless. The storyteller may be indulging on literal intoxicants during these benders, but the true intoxicant is nostalgia. The storyteller then makes a fantastic claim stating, "I am only an aimless soul heading into a pure black void." What does that mean? We can infer that the storyteller feels helpless and his agency in life is dissolved. Surrendering to the pure black void, from my perspective, appears inevitable. The storyteller is trying to tell us that he feels incomplete without his ex. He is living life without intention. His codependency on his partner crippled his ability to live independent. The directionless nature of his life will render him a prisoner in his own mind, and thus the inevitable surrender to the black void. So the storyteller then proceeds to throw another line of questioning at us. Where can you go when it's all in your head? These are the last words that I've ever said. Where can you go when it's all in your head? These are the last words I've ever said. Once again, the storyteller is emphasizing here that he's a prisoner in his own headspace. It's possible that he feels alone in these struggles too. By choosing to live in the past, inebriated on nostalgia, he never had time to exercise self-help, or even external help, for that matter. It's as if the very moment that we listen to those lyrics, it's like the storyteller is prompting us for counsel. Like we are the only ones listening, right? But the problem with that is that we can't solve the storyteller's problems. We are not physically there to counsel the storyteller. And the song accounts for this actuality. When the storyteller prompts us the second time, when he repeats this hopeless inquiry, you can hear a loud echo. The question fades away. It evaporates, as if the storyteller is speaking into an empty canyon, or perhaps a dark void. With nobody there to give any guidance, nobody's listening, nobody's around. It's a very dark scene. But that might not be the only interpretation, right? I interpret the storyteller being all alone, shouting, "What do I do?" Right? What do I do when it's all in my head, all by he's all by himself, right? No, there's nobody there to help him. But the way that sounds in the song, the fading away, the echoing, like, you know what? I'm not going to go there. I don't want to talk about any other interpretations. Let's just kind of go with the one I went with. But you can get creative. There are other ways to interpret that scene, that moment in the song, and there's a lot of ambiguity in this song, right? People will have many different interpretations for this song, and that's what I really like about this song. I've spent a lot of hours just listening to this song. So, the storyteller has just one message left. And what he says is, I am only an aimless soul, heading into a pure dark void. I am only an aimless soul, heading into a pure dark void. And I believe the repetition in this statement was done with intent. It is as if every time the storyteller cautions us about heading towards the black void, which I think there was three times at least that he did that. Every single time he cautions us about heading towards the black void, he is getting progressively closer to it. It's as if it's an indicator or like a bookmark, right? He is progressively becoming more embedded in his own headspace, reliving bittersweet moments with his ex, reliving his youth through the many evils that he enjoys, choosing not to grow from the past. Vide Noir deserves to be a contender for Lord Huron's, if not the darkest song, one of the darkest songs. The song's motif, the pure black void, helps the audience visualize the storyteller's battle with a dreary, ever-encompassing headspace. The black void is the ominous threat in the tale, a threat helplessly acknowledged by the storyteller, but perhaps sensibly by the audience. Because the story is sort of a warning. It's a warning for the audience. Vide Noir's story is a cautionary tale of what happens when codependency goes unchecked. It's a gloomy example of what can happen when somebody succumbs to helplessness. So, that was me kind of discussing Vide Noir by Lord Huron. I love the song. I think the imagery is very powerful that is created with these lyrics and with the atmosphere of the music itself. I recommend you listen to the song with the lyrics at least once and just follow through the entire song, reading the lyrics with the music. It's a good experience. It's interesting. So that was me covering Lord Huron's Vide Noir, which by the way is French for black void. I don't know if I mentioned that. I probably should have known that sooner. I only found out the other day. So I'm going to cover other songs hopefully. So yeah, thank you for watching.